So one of the questions I usually get asked right off the bat on Safari is, what mode should I be shooting in? It's a great question and one that should be asked if you're not 100% sure. While shooting DSLRs, I mostly shot on aperture priority. Why? I never fully trusted my ISO to be left on auto. I wanted to control aperture as a creative function and always wanted to have an idea of what my ISO was up to, making sure it never ran up higher than what was actually required. If however, like me, you now shoot on a mirrorless camera, there's another camera mode that stands out in my opinion as the very best option for you. Manual mode with ISO set to automatic. Now, so often when you hear the words manual, I think the intimidation factor sets in and immediately new photographers tend to run for the hills. But don't worry, it's not full manual and it's easier than what you think. Ultimately, there are 4 camera controls on your camera that you need to be paying attention to in order to get a good photo or an exposure. These, in my opinion, are as follows: shutter speed, aperture, ISO, and exposure compensation. Now, I will do a video series soon talking through how I use all of these functions in this camera mode, but it's important to understand them and to get to know them better. In manual mode with ISO on automatic, you get to control 2 of the most important functions. The first is the speed at which you shoot. Did you know that every shot requires a different approach? There's no magic setting for every scenario. Maybe you want to capture a predator at top speed and you want to freeze the action. You'll need a fast shutter speed to do that. Or maybe you want to introduce a sense of motion, and for that you'll need a slower shutter speed. It could also be that the light is low and you want to have more light onto your sensor. Again, a lower shutter speed is where you'll find that light. Being able to control the speed of your shutter is immensely important in photography. Secondly, and equally as important, is the ability to control your aperture or f-stop. You're able to tell the camera based on the lens on your camera how much detail you want included or excluded. If you shoot on a zoom telephoto, it's more forgiving and you won't see massive changes when you go from 5.6 to 8. But if you shoot a prime telephoto, the difference is very noticeable and it has a big impact on your final shot. Being able to adjust the aperture along with your shutter speed gives you full control of 2 of the most important aspects of your final image. You also get to control exposure compensation, the third one. For those who do not know what this is, when you look at your camera, there's a little wheel or bar that usually has different levels to it, usually ranging from -5 to +5. If you dial it to the minus, your image will be darker, and if you go to the plus side, the image will be brighter. I've always used this, and you simply can't shoot at your very best if you're not comfortable with this setting. Shutter speed and f-stop will only get you so far. You need this function in order to get the best out of your photography while in the field. It'll save you a ton of editing afterwards, trust me. So, you're in control of shutter speed, aperture, and exposure compensation. That leaves ISO for the camera. Cameras today are so good at determining what the correct ISO value should be for any particular shot. The camera will even adjust the ISO while you are shooting in real time, something impossible for you to do. I've tested this on many occasions, shooting with my ISO on manual versus auto, and in the vast majority of cases, my camera made either the correct setting happen or a better ISO value than what I could ever have chosen. I do control my ISO values. I can adjust the minimum and maximum ISO values in camera. What that basically does is it keeps my ISO in check should it want to run too high. You'll never have any issues when the light is good, but on real cloudy days or in low light conditions when predators are often active, it's nice to know that the parameters have been set. A little peace of mind. I tend to keep my limit as a maximum around 16,000 for most of the day. I would say for about 70% of the time, this is the mode that I prefer to shoot in. There are occasions when I do shoot in full manual mode. It's easy to do once you understand these 4 factors I've just spoken about. Once you understand how they work and function together, you'll do better in full manual. I'll make a video about full manual mode and when it is best applied, but for now, understand that the mode that I use the most is manual mode with ISO on full automatic. It's as easy as that. Now you know which mode I shoot in or prefer to shoot in and the mode that I suggest to my clients. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know if you agree and what mode you shoot in. Leave your comments below and I'll get back to them. Thanks so much for your time. See you again in the next video.